Sanchez, let's talk about what is in front of Jalen Hurts. Excuse me, I blanked for just a moment. Of Jalen Hurts right now. His first start. Welcome to the NFL, kid. Here's a Saints defense that is playing as well as any in the National Football League right now. What do you expect?
Well, listen, I think this just goes back to draft day. I don't know if Peterson was totally on board. This is from a total outsider perspective. I don't have some insider knowledge, but it sure seems like he wasn't on board with that pick from Howie Roseman. So this is kind of like, all right, you want to see your guy play? Good luck against a team that's held, opposing offenses to less than 16 points in their last 5 games. Like, good luck. So this is tough. You know, when you put a rookie in there like that. The Saints have a tough front seven, a veteran secondary that's not a recipe for success for a first-time starter. What you would hate to see because of, disagreements on who to draft and who you want playing at quarterback between the GM and the head coach is a quarterback not to be developed properly and get shell shock in his first outing, and be kind of seeing stars and not have a great outing his first time because you want him to build confidence. So this could be tough for him.
What do you think, Bart?
Well, to quote the great Clubber Lang from Rocky III, what my prediction is, and you talk about pain, you talk about this is a porous offensive line that can't stop blitzes up the middle. I have a young quarterback with limited weapons. Alshon Jeffries couldn't jump over a stack of index cards right now. I promise you that they're gonna light him up. They're gonna heat him up, man, and it's gonna be painful. They're gonna set the edges to make sure he has to throw the ball from the pocket, and they're gonna blitz him and blitz him and blitz him, and it's gonna be painful and it's gonna get ugly early. And once you damage this young player, you can't get him back and bench him and say, come on in, Carson Wentz. You're stuck with him, and he's going to have to live through all these bumps in the road.
You know what? Not only do I agree with every word you said, but it gives me the opportunity to once again say the fact that Mr. T didn't win an Oscar for Rocky III is absolutely a crime. Anyway, RC, to you, what do you think?
You know what this reminds me of, Greeny? It's that gif where Jon Snow takes the sleeve off of his sword and the whole other army is barreling toward him on their horses. Like, that's who Jalen Hurts is going to be this week. And I told you early on in the week, I keep seeing Apollo Creed dancing with James Brown before the fight against Ivan Drago and how excited he was about that. And then what happened? That's what I'm looking at when I think about Jalen Hurts. But to me, it's a win-win situation for him. I actually agree with what Mark said. I don't think Doug Peterson was ever on board with having Jalen Hurts. I don't think he expects Jalen Hurts to go out and succeed this week. I don't think he knows if Jalen Hurts is the answer. But what he did know was that Carson Wentz was the problem, that Carson Wentz was the reason this team wasn't winning. Now, there are other things that need to be fixed, but you can place a lot of the blame at the feet of number 11. And so for Jalen Hurts, it's two things. If he doesn't play well this week, Monday morning, me, Rex, and Dan are going to come on here and say we didn't expect him to play well. He was playing the best defense in football, and we didn't think he was ready. But if he is poised, if he can move this team, if he can add some sort of a spark, it bodes well for Jalen Hurts and his future and the way people have to see him, and maybe even giving him an opportunity next week. Doug Peterson said he made this decision for this week. To me, that means so many things. He doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts. This is not a decision that they want to go away from Carson Wentz forever. And so Jalen Hurts has an opportunity in a game no one expects him to play well to show that he belongs.
And for the record, that was 2 Rocky references from different movies in one conversation. Meanwhile, next conversation involves the Cleveland Browns. Let's been down year for the Bucs. Yesterday, Tom Brady was asked about his expectations entering the last 4 games of this regular season coming off a bye. Here's what he said.
First time I was on a championship team, we were 5-5 through 10 games and then played really well down the stretch. So what you got to do is you got to have competitive stamina, and hopefully now having a week off, understanding how we need to approach these things going forward, we can play better, our best football. And that's what December is all about. So we can continue to improve.
All right, should be very interesting. And Diana, I'll start with you. What are you hearing coming out of Tampa off of their bye week heading into this critical final stretch?
Well, the other bite that you should have added to that was when Tom Brady was talking about the weather in Tampa. He said, you won't catch me dead living in the Northeast. So we can hush all those rumors that perhaps he wants to leave Tampa because he seems happy. He just bought another house down there. So in terms of their outlook going into this, finding their identity, Bruce Arians will say over and over, we can figure out a way to win different ways. It doesn't have to be just one identity for them, right? Because you look at the Saints in the NFC, you think Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. You look at the Rams, we saw them last night. You know what they are. It's clear. This team feels comfortable not being very clear on what they are because they believe they can win in different ways, which is why they're so positive that they can make this run over the next month and get into the playoffs.
All right, so they're positive. Brady is sounding positive. Mark Sanchez, as you watch Tom and that offense, are you positive about what they can do this next month?
I don't know if I'm totally sold on that, hey, we don't really know what we are kind of thing. Like, you got to know how you're going to go into these games and win. That's what Brady's used to. He's also thrown 11 picks so far. I think the most he's thrown in a season, he's done it 3 times, is 14. So he's infringing on that. But listen, they're right where we thought they would be. If, you know, you're a doomsdayer for Tom Brady, you said, oh, maybe they'll be 9-7. Best case scenario, they're 11-5 or something like that. So they're where we expected. And like you said about the weather, you nailed it. He's either outside in Tampa in the warm weather or he's in a dome these next 4 games. So he's feeling great. He should have his best performances. And if they're smart, they need to adopt some of his playbook from New England, like the Broncos did for Peyton Manning about midway through the year when they were trying to blend his and Mike McCoy's system way back when. They just ended up going with Peyton Manning's system, and it worked out much better.
You know, it's interesting because I did have quite high expectations for this team. Mark, I know you didn't, and Diana, you definitely didn't. You said so here. RC, where are they relative to what you expected them to be, and what can they become?
I expected them to be playing better right now. It's not necessarily about the record or about the teams that they've lost to. It's about the way that they've lost and when they have. When you look at what they did against the Los Angeles Rams, not being able to stop the pass, Tom Brady throwing interceptions to lose the game. Also against the Kansas City Chiefs. This isn't the team that we expected the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be at this juncture of the season. I thought they'd be ascending. I thought we'd be talking about them being a true contender in the NFC. And I just don't see that from this team right now. I don't see the type of chemistry you need to have between your skilled players, but I don't see a defense that can be elite, a defense that can be dominant, and that was part of the assessment we made. We thought that they'd be explosive on offense, Tom Brady would protect the ball, but more importantly, we thought they'd be able to stop people, and they haven't done that in the last few weeks, and that scares me even more than Tom Brady not getting right. I believe in him because I've seen him do it time and time again, but I haven't seen this defense. This team isn't ready to win big playoff games.
One more thing worth mentioning, they do not have a team left on their schedule that currently has a winning record, so maybe this is a time where they can get these things going. They play Minnesota this week, and I know what you're wondering. You're wondering, Greeny, how about your picks for the weekend? Tell us who's going to win all these games on Sunday. Well, my picks are brought to you by DraftKings, and here they come in 3, 2, 1. Packers, Lions. Aaron Rodgers playing as well as he ever has. Detroit just gave up 30 to Mitch Trubisky. You do the math. 41-24 Green Bay. Cards, Giants, teams headed in opposite directions. Suddenly, it's New York. We're all wondering if they're for real. And the answer is yes. Big Blue makes it 6 of 8 behind their great D, 27-23. Texans, Bears. Deshaun has his playoff hopes crumble last week. He'll take out his frustration on a group that packed it in a month ago, 31-16. Chiefs, Dolphins. Now we're talking. I like everything about Miami. The defense, the coach, the underrated weapons. But Patrick Mahomes is on the other side. Enough said. 30-24 Kansas City.